I do identify as a person in recovery. So obviously that's a contested term, and I'm really interested in what people think about those sorts of words. But yeah, I would say I'm recovering rather than recovered, because my understanding of my issues, which is a very personal thing, is that they will always be my issues, even though I haven't taken a mind-altering substance. Well, laughter is a mind-altering substance. Joy is a mind-altering substance. But anything chemical. I mean, alcohol was really my big problem. Haven't had anything like that for 18 years. But I would still identify as recovering, because I think that if I were to pick up, say, a drink again, I would. It's quite likely, I don't know, but it's quite likely that I would very quickly, and it doesn't matter if it's quick or slow, but I would eventually find myself in the same position that I was in when I put the drink down 18 years ago. And that position that I was in was that my life was unravelling. I was having a lot of suicidal ideation. I was attempting suicide. I was clinging on to a job, but with splintering fingernails, and it was, I always say, if I had a proper job where you have to clock on at 9 o'clock in the morning, I would have lost it. But I had the kind of job where, as long as you did the work, nobody really noticed when you were doing it. So I managed to just about hold on. But I was, I can't say I was homeless exactly, but I was living in a really mouldy touring caravan in a field. I was, showering on campus at the university that I worked at, and trying to pretend that everything was okay. When the reality was, I literally couldn't stop drinking. I thought drink was keeping me alive. I didn't associate a lot of the things that were going wrong in my life with the fact that I was drinking so excessively. And I eventually reached, I guess, what in my recovery community we would call a rock bottom, when I was in absolute agony, and I did reach out for help. So I kind of, my recovery, I attribute that to mutual aid. And
was that where you reached out? Was it then? Was it?
It was, yeah. I mean, some people told me that I needed to go to rehab. I didn't go to rehab. I reached out to mutual aid, and eventually it didn't stick with me straight away. I had a lot of kind of reactions against it. But I did eventually establish a recovery a day at a time, through that process. And the various kind of, I stabilized. I was able to go, one day without a drink, then it went to a week and to a month. And I began to, my mental health incrementally improved. I mean, you wouldn't have known it day to day, but it's only when you look back you realise, actually.
And I think that's really important. I think sometimes people think there's an overnight cure, and there isn't, is there? For
No.
Yeah. I've often heard it said it takes you as long to get out as it took you to get in a way. Yes.
Yeah. I mean, that was certainly my experience. But I do, I'm quite a depressive character, so I very quickly go to very deep depression, especially if I enhance it with substances.
Okay.
Um, and I did, I can say that since I put the drink down, I haven't attempted suicide. I have felt pretty desperate at times, pretty depressed, but I haven't actually attempted suicide, and that tells me a lot about, what alcohol was doing to me and where potentially it could take me, if I were to pick it up again. I mean, maybe I could drink safely now, but it's not an experiment really that I'm interested
That
in
doesn't sound to me like
undertaking.
a risk that you want to take.
No, no. I mean, I sometimes say it would be like having a revolver with, six, I don't know what the word is. If I think
Bullets,
back. Yeah, six bullets or six the holes that the bullets go in, right? And I've got
chambers.
right, okay, and I've got one bullet, put the bullet in, and then hold it to my head. Maybe
Yeah,
I've got a one in six chance of it ending badly, but why would I do that
yeah.
anyway? So I'm just better off living the way that I do now. I'm not saying that I couldn't drink safely. I just don't know. And I don't care because I don't need it now. I've got the life that I want, and I'm able to function, to flourish.